Okay, looks like we're live. So, hello everybody, this is Bradley Benner with Semantic Mastery, and I have Adam Moody on with me again today.
Hey
How you
everybody.
doing, Adam?
Good, good. Thanks.
Good. Okay, we see, I enabled chat in here. There's a Q&A page, guys, on the events page. If you got any questions, you can ask them there. We've got some questions that were already submitted ahead of time, so I'm going to jump into a few of those just to get started, allow a few other people to get in here. So I'm going to take the screen while I do that. And we'll go to the events page. All right, Adam, can you see the screen all right?
Looking good.
Okay. All right, so Mr. Jonathan Coe, he ended up putting a bunch of questions in again, so we're going to cover some of these now. And then we'll cover everything that we can that's not going to take too long so that we can take other questions. Just jump in and let me know if anything comes in, Adam.
Will do.
All right. Let's see, how do you find a good niche in high PR platforms to manual comment or that have low outbound links using Google Search or any other programs? Scrapebox. Also, is there a way to find non-WordPress blogs that allow for comments, since WordPress blogs may be overdone and Google may take note of it? Okay, that's multiple questions within a question, but what we'll do is we'll kind of break this down a little bit. The idea with blog commenting is that it is still very effective, especially if you're using real, bona fide, genuine comments that you're adding value to a particular post, especially if a post is has a lot of social activity. Then those links, it doesn't, forget about outbound links. Don't worry, and that's something that people don't need to worry about. I think that's, especially if it's got a lot of social activity, it doesn't matter how many outbound links there is. It's a powerful post, especially if there's a lot of social activity, if that makes sense. So when looking for places to leave comments, number one is you don't want to use keyword. Try to use just your name, like your real bona fide profile, or if you're doing SEO and you're using a persona, then the persona's profile. And so the profile name, or the persona's name, or your name if it's for your own site, will end up being the anchor text, and that's fine. Try not to, because otherwise it just looks spammy if you try to work a keyword in there or something like that, and that's a typical spam comment. So when looking to find blogs, keep that in mind, number one. And number two, don't worry about outbound links. The next thing that I do typically is for finding some of the best places to leave comments is to go to buzzsumo.com. BuzzSumo is a search engine basically for socially active posts online. So for example, we could just say, let's just look for SEO, and that's probably too broad, so let's do search engine optimization. Go to BuzzSumo, we search that, and you can see, you can filter by date, and you can filter by type too, all right? So a lot of the times if you want to look for, let's just say we'll look for guest posts and articles, guest posts, and even videos, because videos you can still get comments on depending on where they are. I mean, obviously with YouTube you get Google Plus comments, and those are still effective too. So, and then you can filter by date. So let's just say within the last, for SEO it's a very active topic, so let's just click filter for the last week. And here you go. We've got posts here that we could go to and check out to see if they allow comments, and a lot of SEO posts do, right? So if we click on that and open that up, we can take a look. This has got 113 Facebook shares, and this is within the past week. So I mean, if we want to go a little bit older, we could and go back to a month. But if we scroll down, this is on Tech Cocktail. If we scroll down, they might have, looks like they might have comments turned off, but you can find them in here. You've just got to look. And again, this is that's not a very good one. That's weird. I wonder why that showed up there. This is more of a manual process, for sure. But this is where you can find some of the best and most popular articles that you can leave links on, and those are the kinds that give a very, very powerful link back because they're very active, and Google takes note of that. All right. Number two, or it's still number one. There's a lot of questions in there. The other thing that you could do is you could look for footprints, like leave a comment. Use Boolean searches, and I need to spell that correctly before that'll work. But you could say leave a comment, then you could also put in, your keyword. In this case, we could say search engine optimization. Right. Let's see, leave a comment. How did I not spell that right again? Let's see, leave a comment, search engine. Oh, I spelled that wrong. Okay, so here are blogs that will say leave a comment, and in search engine optimization, obviously you can turn on your Moz bar. So now you can find some metrics here, looking for stuff that has, higher domain authority, higher page authority. So you're looking at both metrics, but these are the ones that say leave a comment. So obviously you can scroll down and take a look and see, and this one looks like it probably has a lot of comments. Yeah, it does. But see, these are no follow links, so you don't, it doesn't matter. They're still powerful links because especially the relevancy is really what you're looking for. And so these are powerful. They're great strategy. It doesn't matter about anchor text variation and none of that, especially because they're no follow anyways, which means the anchor text really has no impact on. With a no follow link, it has no impact as far as your anchor text ratio. So that's why I say just use your name, because almost all of them are going to be no follow, no matter what blog platform it's on. But that's one way to do it, is just to use footprints and Boolean searches. There's another one that, let's see, I think it's called LiveFire, Live, F-Y-R-E. And okay, so let's see, Discuss, D-I-S-Q-S, those are great. The thing about Discuss is if you leave a comment there, and you'll see if they have a, okay, well, this is a regular comment type, but a lot of the Discuss type blogs, if you have to sign in, like for example, let's go to Search Engine Roundtable for a minute. I think that's one of them. Search Engine. Can't type and talk, so you have to excuse me. Search Engine Roundtable. All right, so if we click through here, I believe this is one of the kinds that have discuss comments. Yeah, it does. All right, so with discuss comments, if you want to log in, so like let's say I log in, I'll say discuss, I'm going to sign in using, oops, I meant to sign in using Google. Let me authorize the app. Now you'll see, if I were to leave a comment here, the only thing that it ends up doing is this comment itself, if you see from any of these comment authors here, if you click on it, it does not take you to their website. So this is not a direct link back to the site. However, what it does is it will bring up their profile, and in their profile generally will have a link. Like right here is a little link icon, and if you look down in the bottom left corner, you'll see that that's going to take me over to that person's blog. So what happens with the discuss links is that you're building inbound link juice from these, everywhere you leave a comment, to your page in Discuss, or your profile page, and your profile page has a link back to your site. So that's where that power is. It just comes from, funneling link juice from these pages back to your Discuss profile, but you're not getting links back from each blog directly back to your site. It doesn't work that way, but it's still powerful. And again, this is all part of pushing relevancy back to your site, not necessarily link juice. It's about pushing relevancy. And also just for variation. Remember, diversity is key, right? And this is a great way to push high quality white hat type links back to your site, is to do blog comments. And so in trying to find different places to leave comments, you need to learn how to use Boolean searches and look for footprints. Look for things that are common among blogs that accept comments, and then go do a search on that. For example, here's another one. It looks like this guy's probably moderating comments. This has got Facebook comments. I don't find those to be as useful, although again, you could always put a link in Facebook as long as it's not spammy. But that's what I would do, and that's typically how I do it. So hope that answers question number 1 of many. Let me go back to the events page. Since WordPress blogs may be overdone by Google, no, they're not. Again, if you're worried, if you're doing spam comments, purely spam comments, then yeah, you need to worry about stuff like that. But when you're doing white hat type comment links that are because you're adding value or you're injecting an opinion into a discussion or something like that, none of that matters. Don't worry about that. Don't overcomplicate things. Take advantage of the fact that you're joining into the discussion and that you might actually funnel some traffic back from that discussion back to your site. So again, from a purely SEO standpoint, there's lots of benefits from blog commenting, but also think of it from a traffic standpoint. If you have a controversial comment or a particularly useful comment, then you could also generate traffic from that comment itself back to your blog. And what is traffic signals? That's a good SEO signal, right? So I hope that makes sense. What's the role of blog commenting in your strategy? Is it always done for all sites, and to which tier? You mentioned you do spammy to tier 1 from tier 2, so spammy to your IFTTT Network Web 2s, I guess. This is a lot of questions. This will take the whole 30 minutes. Let's see, high quality manual ones. No, I'm just saying if you're going to use spam comment, I mentioned it because Jonathan had asked in a question, he had asked about what I use comments for. Do I still use spam comments? At times, yes. Typically not for my main money site stuff. I use spam comments for testing, and also for for type churn and burn type strategy stuff. Like I typically will not use spam comments for my money site directly. I might run them to a Web 2 that's out at maybe tier 2 or something like that. I also use them to test things, but I don't typically use spam comments that much. I do use high quality comments though every opportunity I get, because think about this. I typically spend a lot of time reading articles and things online in the industries that I'm the most interested in. Now, for client stuff, I obviously don't. Like client work, I'm not going to go out and read about plumbing and stick a comment in about plumbing. That's something I might be able to outsource, and I have tried that in the past, although I found that the outsourcers' comments generally aren't that useful, and they sometimes get deleted anyways, so I end up spending money on nothing. The moderator eliminates the comment or doesn't approve it or whatever. And so finding auto-approved comments is difficult. That's part of the reason I say you should always be adding value or joining into the discussion or something so that the comment definitely gets approved. And part of the reason that hiring outsourcers to do blog commenting is ineffective for the most part is because they generally have no interest or passion in what it is that they're commenting on. So and that shows. It's very easily detectable by a human moderator that they don't know what the hell they're talking about, or that they're not adding value, right? So they get deleted. And I've attempted that multiple times with outsourcers, and they're just more unsuccessful than successful for that matter. So I typically don't do that. But for stuff that I have a particular interest in, I manually do that myself, only because I'm on the article anyways. And if I find something interesting or something that I can add a comment to or inject an opinion on, then I'll post a comment, right? And it depends on what it is doing. I mean, for the most part, my main account, which is me, Bradley Benner, I'm leaving comments as that. But if I am interested in some of the other, a very few other niches that I have an interest in, I have a persona set up for that. And so I'll be logged in through that account. But it is very effective. So I know that Jonathan in particular is trying to build a authority site. He's asked several questions about that recently, and so if you're trying to build an authority site, you're going to be spending a lot of time in that niche. Just start finding comments, places to blog, to add comments, and that's going to help. How often do I do this? I do it whenever I find time to do it. I don't have a set schedule for it. You don't have to be so methodical. I mean, especially when you're launching a site, though, it's a good idea to probably get in the habit of doing 1 or 2 comments a day, and do that for the course of 3 weeks, 4 weeks, something like that. And at the end of a month, you'll have a really good, diversified blog comment profile coming into your site, which for all pushing relevancy, right? So again, that's the relevancy thing. So especially with brand new sites. With older sites, it's not as necessary. But you'll see that it's interesting when you start to do that. That you'll see your site, the blog comment links coming up in like Ahrefs or Majestic SEO. You'll see those come up. and sometimes the comments feeds will get picked up for some reason, and you'll see a bunch of links come in from that, and they can be quite powerful. So, okay, so let's see if I answered all of that. Anything coming in, Adam?
Nothing right now.
Okay. Says, I'd be interested if you could touch a bit more on your GSA strategy, not so much how to use it, but the role that it plays in your SEO strategy. Do you blast spammy GS links to IFTTT directly? For anybody that doesn't know that might be watching this, when we talk about the IFTTT Network, Semantic Mastery, which is our organization, we train and teach about how to create an SEO syndication network using IFTTT, which is IFTTT.com. Stands for if this then that.com. It's a third-party application that we use to syndicate our own blog content to various Web 2.0 and social profiles or platforms to build automatic backlinks back to our sites. And it acts as an SEO firewall. In other words, it is an extension of the brand, of the blog or the business brand, depending on how you've positioned your site or your business. It's an extension of that, and it's kind of acting as an announcement network. So when you post new content to your site, you're announcing it to the world, and you're publishing it, you're syndicating it or republishing it across your own branded account. So you're not worried about footprints or anything else, because you're clearly branding them as your own. And you have an attribution link back to your main site, so you're giving credit to the original source, which is perfectly legit. And it gives you like essentially an SEO firewall, because right now we use anywhere between 15 to 20 properties on average, depending on the time of day and how much work you want to put into building the networks themselves, but about 15 to 20 properties that will surround your site. And then we can do all of the other link building directly to the IFTTT properties, so that we're not building links directly to the money site other than through those branded networks. All right, so I just wanted to give a quick overview. We train on how to do that. We have a course. If you go to IFTTTSEO.com, it'll take you to the product that you can purchase to teach you how to do those networks. And then obviously we teach that inside the membership area as well. So hopefully that answers that. But as far as GSA, do I GSA directly to IFTTT? Not anymore. I used to. I did that extensively for a very, very long time, and it was very effective. And it probably is still effective if you know how to use GSA properly. I personally do not do it myself. I have a GSA, a software manager that manages all my link building tools for me. So I honestly don't. I've never run GSA a day in my life, but I have it running on 2 dedicated servers, and then I've got a G-Scraper scraping link targets on another server. So I'm familiar with the strategy. I just don't know how to use the tool itself. But what I do typically is now I'm using FCS Network, or which are Web 2s, to build links directly to my IFTTT networks. And then I use the GSA to power up the FCS Networker links. Because the FCS Networker links generally have a higher domain authority, so they're typically higher quality sites. They're not quite as spammy. And so I like to do 2 levels of Web 2.0 type properties as buffers before I get to the GSA. So GSA now is out at Tier 3 and beyond. I try to use GSA at Tier 3 or Tier 4, but I don't want it within 2 hops of my site, of my money site. Now there are exceptions to that rule, but just to be safe, I'm not talking about that, especially in this short webinar. Typically, I will keep GSA out at Tier 3 and Tier 4, and it's just to add page authority, boost page authority, and push more juice through the Web 2s back to the money site. Okay. Okay. So far, I've touched on on-page SEO and IFTTT. Beyond these 2 and blog comments, spammy and manual and GSA comments, is there anything else that we can do? Yeah, I mean, there's a number of things you can do. We talked about briefly last week, and probably next week I'll have some concrete data for you about click-through rate and its effect on ranking, because that can be manipulated as well. So we'll talk about that in the members-only webinar, most likely. Obviously looking for ways to drive traffic, not necessarily specifically just SEO juice, but to bring people in, real live human traffic into your site. And so that might require a little social engineering, but also trying to get, again, I'm using a ton of video in my marketing now, and it's incredible that video is, well, number one, it's great for SEO, but number two, it can drive traffic, quite a bit of it actually. So use some video stuff. And now I'm not talking about those crappy Animoto videos that have been done to death. Be a little bit more creative with it. And like how-to videos and things like that, they really do make a big difference. There's a lot of traffic in YouTube, so if you can figure out how to capture that for your particular industry or your niche, even just a small fraction of your industry's overall traffic within YouTube. Most and I know what business Jonathan's in, that's why I can say this. There's a lot of traffic potential that you can find in YouTube that you can funnel back to your site that way. And it's not necessarily an SEO thing at that point as it is a traffic thing. So let's see. I might have to see if there's anything else before I finish that, because that's a long, long question. Yeah, Michael asked if you could use a domain name and a video title. No, don't do that. That's a spam signal. I've seen channels get terminated because of that kind of thing. It's just like using a phone number and a title tag now within YouTube. I wouldn't suggest it. I've heard of several people's accounts getting terminated because of using that. Although in a Google Plus forum, actually a Google Plus community in Google Plus, I asked that same very question and whether it was okay, and the response that I got from the moderator, which I believe is a Google employee, but I don't know for sure, was they sent me to the terms of service page for YouTube, and it does not say anything about a phone number being a spam signal within the title tags. But I've seen from a number of groups that I'm members of, people's accounts being terminated for that. So I've gone through my hundreds of videos that had phone numbers in the title tag and removed it. And all I can say is that having the domain name in the URL or the title tag is going to be the same type of signal. I wouldn't suggest it. Besides, you can put it as the first thing in the description, which is where it's going to be clickable anyways, and that's still going to show up in the search results because it's part of the meta description. You've got, what is it, 170 characters or something for the meta description. So if you show that, it won't be clickable in the SERPs, but you'll see it in the SERPs. And then when they do click through to the video watch page, it will be a clickable link. Is the first thing underneath the video. Okay. All right. Let me check the. Let's see. What time is it? We got about another 7 minutes. So all right, I'm gonna keep running with Jonathan's questions. Nothing else came in, Adam?
Nothing. Nope, not right now.
Okay. Marco mentioned getting an RSS feed from Google Sites. I haven't used any Google Sites yet, but could that be put in IFTTT? We're working on it, Jonathan. We are working on an application to add Google Sites into the IFTTT syndication networks. Not available yet, but I think Chris, our developer, he's going to have that available. He said that it can be done, so we should have that pretty soon, actually. So the reason why we're using Google Sites is I found that for video SEO, Google Sites helps a ton, and it only makes sense because it's an additional Google property. The way I look at it is if you can take a YouTube video or a Hangout on air or a YouTube live event, and you can put it into Google Plus, share it across Google Plus, drop it in the Blogger, as many Blogger blogs as possible, and Google Sites, you're working with 100% pure Google properties, and they will reward you for it. And I found that using Google Sites is very effective for SEO, video SEO. So that's why we're talking about Google Sites right now, because we're trying to figure out a way to automate the posting, because right now it's a manual process, so it's not scalable. And we're trying to make it to where we can automate it. So, okay, let's see. This is where he's talking about inside the group. We'll address that inside the group because that's not really necessarily a public comment. This says, not sure if it fits in here, but can we do a little training on GSA? Possibly. I can't do the training on that because, again, I just leave that up to my software manager, but there might be, I know Hernan and Adam, you use GSA, correct?
Yes.
So, you guys could possibly do
Yeah, I've
something
talked
on
to
that.
Jonathan about that. I think I'll end up doing something on FCS and then GSA as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, maybe Hernan can do something on GSA, and then I also got my guy Dedia. He might be able to do something on it too because he's a freaking ninja. So
Yeah, and I can't remember his. I really liked Jimmy Kelly's overview of it, so I didn't know if that was a standalone thing or if you have to ante up for all their stuff for that. But
yeah, I don't know
that
if they
was pretty
sell that
comprehensive.
publicly anymore.
Okay.
I know what you're talking about, the Network Empire.
Mhm.
And what was the name of that course though? See if I can find it. If I can find a link for it. And I don't know if they sell that publicly anymore or not.
Yeah, because I mean, he hit it all. I mean, I have no problem going over it. I used it before I came across that information, but I think he did a very good job, and it's only a
Yeah, he
couple hours.
did. He did because I even bought it, even though I don't even use GSA myself. I bought it for my software manager, and he said he got a lot out of it too. So I don't see. Let me see if I can do a search on it real quick. GSA training might come up. No, they're looking for. Yeah, I'd have to locate the link and see if it, I don't even know if it's still publicly available. I think I somewhere I remember them saying they were going to take that down and not offer that anymore unless you're a member of Network Empire. So I don't know that that's still available.
Hmm.
But well, if there's no other questions, we're looking at 4:27. I'm going to wrap it up. Looks like Jonathan got a ton of his questions answered. But hey, that's good. We had something to talk about. So hopefully that answered everything. Nothing else showed up, Adam?
Nope. And if we get anything coming in afterwards, like we did last week, we'll just add it on to the next one we have.
Yeah, guys, the events page, this is going to be up. I mean, I'll announce the events page every week. This is really a good opportunity for people to jump in from the public and ask questions if they'd like. You're more than welcome to. It's a public event. You can ask questions by submitting them right here. You can see there's a Q&A button right here on the events page. If you click that, you can submit questions. Let's see, as a matter of fact, before I say all that.
And if you're not a member of Semantic Mastery, but you are getting our newsletters and updates, you will get an email, letting you know when this weekly hangout is occurring, which is every week on the Wednesdays.
Hey, look at this. Yeah, and for one moment, let me see. This is the problem, Adam. By the way, this is kind of an internal thing, but we've got the issue with using Webinar Jam and the events page because the Q&A button, there have been questions submitted throughout the event just now, and I didn't see them because I had Webinar Jam open. So maybe you can have Webinar Jam open and I'll have this open. Again, that's more of an internal thing, guys. Sorry about that. We've got to square that away. We just started doing these. So, but there's a couple questions here. Let me answer these. Is it spammy to use a website URL? Yeah, we already answered that, Michael. That must have come through previously, which, by the way, that reminds me, guys, on the events page, that Q&A button, if you click that, you can do that before the event, and it will submit the questions so that they're available for me during the event, which is great, especially because if it's something that is going to be lengthy like this, then it gives me a little bit of time to prepare in case I need to, prepare course material. I'm sorry, you guys weren't seeing my screen, but if it's lengthy like Jonathan's question, and by all means, you're more than welcome to ask those kind of questions. I'm happy to answer them, so feel free to do that. Also, keep in mind that if you post the questions ahead of time, it gives me time to prepare for them. During the event itself, you can use that Q&A button to ask questions, and they will come through live as long as I've got the tab open in the Hangouts. Okay, and then even after the event, if there's questions in particular to the recording, which will be available right there on the events page, you can ask questions there, and I will be notified of them, so I can go back and answer those. All right? Keep that in mind. Scott Gray's asking, what was the IFTTT course link? It's IFTTTSEO.com, Scott. And we just updated that recently. It has, I don't know, maybe 3 weeks ago. We updated all of the videos now to add a bunch of new properties that weren't available before. There's several new properties in there that we use now. And it's been updated for video syndication networks, although the last few videos in that training is for how to repurpose the video syndication network to be used as a blog syndication network. So I hope that makes sense. But again, that's IFTTTSEO.com. Just go there. It'll redirect you to the sales page where you can sign up for that. That's $47. But we've got the older version in there, I believe. Adam, that's still in there, correct?
Say that one more time.
The older version of the IFTTT training?
Correct.
Okay, and the newer videos, which were
Yep.
just updated like 3 weeks ago. So again, between both, I believe there's at least like 22 properties that you can syndicate to. So keep that in mind. It's a good course. And lastly, and then I will wrap it up. Brian asks, "Is there a trick to backlinks?" Isn't there a trick to everything, Brian? Let's see. And BJ's got a question too. Wow, I wish I would have seen this earlier, guys. All right, I'll stay on a few more extra minutes. Adam, if you got to jump, feel free.
Yeah, no problem.
Is there a trick to backlinks? Well, yes and no. I mean, there's a ton of tricks we can do. But to be honest with you, the short answer would be keep your links as clean as you can. If you're going to do some dirty stuff, do it at least 3 hops away from your site. So at tier 3 and beyond, so that you can protect it. Use 301 domains, redirects, Web 2s, anything that you can have control over, so that you can buffer that from your site, so that if your dark headwear, your black hat type tactics end up causing you any pain or grief, that you can remove those bridge links, so to speak, and remove that bad juice from your site. All right, so that's why, I mean, there's a ton of. You want to talk black hat stuff, you need to become a member of Semantic Mastery, and we'll teach you a lot of stuff that you can choose to use or not to use. But in a public setting, I'm going to tell you to just try to keep it clean, and that's the trick. Look for high quality link sources. It's quality over quantity, and that is absolutely true. So, but you can certainly work that too. So.
Yeah, remaining in control if your fire breaks, so you can.
Right. That's why we say using the IFTTT network is so critical. And I mean, it's the very foundation of all the SEO that I do, whether it's for video, local, client work, anything that I do, period. I use the IFTTT as the first line of defense, because that's essentially an SEO firewall. Okay, and you can do a ton of link building activity to those, and if at any time something goes wrong, you can remove or just delete one of those accounts, or as many as you need to, and remove all that bad juice. So. We also talk about on the blog, by the way, and BJ, I'll get to your question in just one moment. On the blog, if you go to semanticmastery.com/blog, you'll see that Hernan, one of our members, did a post on 301 redirects, and that's another thing that you can do. That you can do a lot of really sneaky stuff with 301 redirects and meta refreshes and things like that. And Hernan did a couple of videos on that. You can check into that. That's a free post. You don't need to be a member to see that. So. Okay, BJ, I will answer your question now, buddy. I'm sorry. I set up RSS from WordPress sites, so all new posts are published to my Web 2 accounts. I guess this is probably similar to setting up IFTTT to Web 2. Yes. I hope this isn't seen as spammy. Is it also, should I approve or reject pingbacks from some Web 2's accounts? Okay. The idea about publishing to your Web 2 accounts is fine, provided that if it's the same content that you're publishing from your blog, so you're just basically republishing the posts. It's okay to do that, but you want an attribution link, okay, which you're citing the source, which in your case is going to be your site, right? So if you're using a plugin such as like Yoast that has in the RSS settings of Yoast, you can set the attribution link there. We also have a free download plugin that we developed, which allows us to vary the anchor text in the attribution link. Plus, you can add no follow or leave it as do follow, which in the Yoast plugin you cannot. It's always no follow, unless you edit the source code. But that's a plugin. If you're interested in, leave a comment on this page, and we'll get in touch with you where you can download that plugin and check it out. But yeah, as long as you're leaving an attribution link back to the source, you're okay. In fact, that's what we do with the IFTTT training. Okay, is republish all our content to our branded accounts, and that's the other part of that question, or answer to that question, is don't try to use multiple networks. I wouldn't. What I'm saying is, I would brand those accounts so that you're making it very clear that those accounts are an extension of your brand, because then you're just saying, look, I'm just announcing my content, I'm republishing it across social medias and Web 2s because there's traffic there, right? I mean, yeah, we're doing it for SEO, but in all reality, you want to make it, as white hat as possible. And so I don't try to cover my tracks there at all. I try to make it very apparent that it's just an extension of the brand, and then make sure you have the attribution link back, and that's critical, because otherwise you'll get hit with duplicate content, which didn't used to be an issue, but it is now. Duplicate content on site has always been an issue, but off site didn't used to be, but now it is. And thanks to Panda 4.1 and even the new Penguin. So let's see. I hope this isn't seen as spammy. Is it? No, I don't. No, I use it for all of my SEO activities. That's like I said. That's the very foundation of what it is that I do, and what we teach at Semantic Mastery is using syndication networks, and it starts with a branded network. So I don't think it's spammy at all. No. Also, should I approve or reject pingbacks? There's a little bit of juice from pingbacks. Typically, from the Web 2s and stuff, I don't, especially if they're just they're just they're pingbacks from you syndicating your own content, because then it's kind of like a reciprocal link, and it's linking from one version of the content to an exact duplicate of the content. So I'd say no. And generally, what I do is, and this is just me, BJ, but on all of my WordPress sites, I disable comments anyways. I use the Disable Comments plugin. That's the title of it, Disable Comments. Because WordPress comments, as you know, I'm sure, you get just a ton of spam, and then you get pingbacks, and a lot of those notifications become annoying after time, and it's just a lot of work cleaning that up. So typically what I'll do is just disable comments, and then I'll use a plugin that uses one of the social media, or all of them, like Discuss, for example. The Discuss plugin is a good one, because then people can leave comments with Google+, Facebook, Discuss. There's a number of comment plugins out there that you can use that will integrate, Facebook comments and things like that into your blog instead. So to answer your question, I typically don't even receive pingbacks because I have that disabled. If you want to do it, then it makes sense if you have a pingback from a related blog somewhere that picked up on your post, or if you did a mention, an outbound link, and they received it and it does a pingback. Those, yeah, there is a little bit of juice to be gained from that. But I typically would not worry about reciprocal type links from your own content being syndicated to your own Web 2s. It's really pointless at that point. So I hope that makes sense. Okay, it looks like the questions are answered, and we're 8 minutes over, so I'm going to wrap it up. Hey, guys, thanks for showing up today. Next week we'll be here at the same time. Again, please ask any questions ahead of time on the event page. I'm going to create the event page for next week and send it out via Google Plus to everybody so you can join that. If you have any questions regarding today that you want to follow up with, go ahead and just put them on the event page, and I will get back to them. Okay, and come check us out at semanticmastery.com. We do private members-only webinars every 2 weeks where we get into a lot more. Plus, we have a ton of content already inside the members area, including the archives from previous webinars, where you can get all of our sneaky tricks. So.
Good
We'll
stuff.
see you guys on the next one. And last time, BJ, last question. When you use IFTTT networks, is it the same as creating backlinks? Absolutely. Yes, it is. And that's from the attribution link in the plugin. Whether you use Yoast plugin or you use our plugin, the Semantic Mastery RSS plugin, or if you use some other plugin that gives you an attribution link. The point is, as long as you're citing the source where the article came from, which you're resyndicating across all your properties, and it's got a link back to your site, right? Typically with the Yoast plugin, it'll say something like this post, and then it'll be the post title with the link back to the post itself, with the title as the anchor text. So it'll say this post, link back to the post title, appeared first on, and then it'll be a link back to the home page of the site. Those are all no-follow links because Yoast codes it that way. But again, you can modify that either by editing the source code of the Yoast plugin, or you can use our plugin, which then you can use spin tags to vary your anchor text, vary your destination URLs, and vary whether it's no follow or do follow by adding the no follow attribute. So again, that's something if you're interested in, post in the event page, and we'll get you a copy of it so that you can play with it. But absolutely, that's the entire reason why we started using IFTTT networks, was to build backlinks in an automated way, to where the only thing that you need to do is post content to your blog, and you let the syndication network provide the links back, the link building on autopilot. And then you can actually stack multiple networks in different ways, of which you have to know what you're doing, but to keep it clean, but what we call tiered networks, You can do that too, and it's very, very effective. And again, check out the IFTTT and that'll take you to the sales page for that training, which has got a lot of stuff in there that can show you how to automate a lot of this stuff. So, all right, I'm gonna wrap it up, guys. We're way over. Again, thanks, guys. We'll see you next week. Thanks, Adam.
Have a good one.